Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Power Hour panel talk, where we come together to talk about current events and to get your opinion and also kind of argue amongst ourselves and sometimes agree about the current events that are going on in the world today. Now, we have an amazing panel today. We have Wade, Sohaila, and Angel. But before we get there, I'd like to welcome you guys to the Power Hour panel talk.
Hey guys, how are you? Happy Tuesday.
Hello.
So good to see you guys. What have you been up to?
Been up to current events, honestly.
Exactly.
Beating our heads against the wall. That's what we've been up
to. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's jump into, I think Wade wanted to talk about Biden's executive orders. Now, Biden has been busy with his pen, and I believe he has signed about 24 executive orders since he has taken office. Now, it could be more, it could be a little less, because Biden has been going crazy with the pen. But the one thing I will say about Biden and his executive orders is that Biden has definitely started making good on his campaign promises with these executive orders. So what do you guys think about the executive orders and the memos and the different things that he has signed into office already?
Well, I think he's going overboard.
You think he's going overboard? Mm-hmm. So why do you think he's going overboard?
Well, I looked at the Federal Register, and right now they have 25 of these notarized saying that they're real, and news sources are reporting up to 34. Some are reporting up to 40. It's really weird because he's just signing these things at seems arbitrarily. And one of the things Biden said in his campaign was, if you have to rule if you have to lead by executive order, you're a dictator. You have the largest amount of executive orders in recorded history in your first week. Not only that, but the one that really got me was the memo he just put out recently. So, and this is going to be a real point of contention. It's going to be controversial, things like that, because he's ordered to stop using specific words in the government, which is within his power. But at the same time, ordering people to stop using certain words is almost a violation of the First Amendment rights. Almost. It's not quite there, but it's leaning there. If you can direct people by memo or executive order to stop using words, no matter what they are, you're sitting on a very slippery slope. Now, do we agree with the words that he ordered? Personally, I think they're funny. I think they're funny as hell. He banned the term the China virus, the China flu, and the Kung flu. All right. That's pretty funny. Kung flu is pretty funny. But he banned those three groups of words based off of supposedly racist overtones, supposedly cracking down on any sort of racist backlash because of them. The fact that Trump used them is the real issue. It's not so much the words. It's the real issue is Trump used them. Let's be honest, because the flu came from China. So it's pretty obvious where it came from. If you start banning those words, you should have to ban made in China. You know, where does it end? Where does it start? Where does it end? And who actually has determined that those words are actually going to cause a racist backlash?
So I will say this, though, Sohaila and Angel will go to you. So in terms of those words and the way that Trump used, I'm not even going to jump into the executive orders or the memos yet. So with those words and the way that Trump used it, it seems as though President Trump was using those words in order for him to not deal with the coronavirus in a way that people wanted him to use it. And it was a way for him to deflect blame on, hey, listen, you guys are mad at me about the way I'm handling it, but it's China. So I can see why the administration would not want to use those phrases because, again, they want to tackle the COVID-19 and come up with the best possible plan. And by deflecting it, they are not in a position where they can come up with that plan. But again, I think it does tiptoe along the lines of whether it's breaking or going against the First Amendment. So what do you guys think, Angel and Sohaila?
What do you think?
Well, first of all, I don't have too much stuff, too much information to say. The only thing I noticed the other day, someone shared a video when Biden was signing the how can I say, the contracts or the books,
Executive orders.
but they say it was nothing on. It was he was signing only blank pages. Is that true?
No, he was signing executive orders.
But they focused the lens on the books and the what he was signing. It was nothing on it. So I don't know. Okay, but I don't know because probably Republicans wants to make making him look bad. But yeah, I don't have too much stuff to say.
Yeah, so actually I was gone for a whole 12 hours from Facebook, and all hell breaks loose because I didn't even know about all these executive orders that he did. So this was the last ones, I guess, right? That he just did. Well, I agree with you though, Mel, about him literally doing what he was said that he was going to do. And for me, the stimulus checks or the stimulus package, I really want that to go. That's a big thing. These other executive orders, they're probably big too, but that's the main thing that I'm thinking about and kind of focusing on with those words. I think it's pretty funny too what Wade says.
I'm looking at these things.
Really?
And a lot of these executive orders, and I don't know, and some people watching this may not know either, is how is an executive order created? Does he just sit down and say, hey, somebody write me up this rule and I'll sign it?
Right.
I'm sure there's more to it than that. But I'm sure that there's a process that takes a certain amount of time, and to have 25 of these things sitting on his desk when he walks in that afternoon, that tells me that these things were not just made, that afternoon. Sure. There was a plan in place before that. And what really gets me is some of these things that he's signing off really aren't even Trump's issues that he's getting rid of. They're partially Trump's issues, but they're a lot of the House and Congress and everybody else's issues for sliding stuff into these previous orders to get them to pass. For example, like my mother is a diabetic, so she was going to reap the benefits of that insulin cap. He's gotten rid of that with one of his orders because something else was bad inside there. So instead of, and like I said, I don't know how an executive order is written, but instead of focusing on something else inside of that law, that group, that whatever passed, he wiped the entire thing and said, we'll deal with it later. And that's a problem.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
so in terms of executive offices,
yeah, with the executive orders, I mean, it has to stem from somewhere, right? And these package deals have so many earmarks and things in there that we don't even see or hear. So that's one of the issues. That's a big issue. I mean, why don't they just be so transparent and let us know exactly what's in those, those packages? That's an issue.
Might raid the Capitol if we really knew.
So in terms of executive orders, they do come together as an administration. They come together as a team to craft these executive orders. Now, executive orders are not the end all be all. So executive order, the president does have limitations of what he can sign and what he can change. And a lot of times when he's in a position where he's going to rescind certain things, such as the things with the diabetes, he has to, with the executive order, he really does have to look at it in a sense of, I have to completely remove this law and then put in place a new type of order in order to put those protections back in place for people with diabetes. So it goes again to the weighing the scales of what's important and what's not important. And again, at the end of the day, you can only do so much with executive orders. And a lot of it is going to fall back onto Congress. So we may see, again, when it comes to things like diabetes, what's going on and whether Congress will pass something, because at the end of the day, even though the president of the United States has some power to issue these executive orders, he doesn't have all the powers in the world. Now, if we look at executive orders, I want to run these numbers by you guys too. So if we look at executive orders altogether, we see that in over 4 years, Trump signed about maybe 220. In 8 years, Obama signed about 276.
Wow.
FDR signed in 12, because remember, FDR was in office for about 12 years. In 12 years, FDR signed about 3,721 executive orders, and Woodrow Wilson signed about 1,803. But if you look at the presidents who did sign executive orders to these larger numbers, so these larger amount of executive orders, you see that it is during times of some kind of war or some kind of tragedy happening. When you look at FDR, you had World War II, you had the Great Depression, you had things where executive orders needed to be passed quickly in order for things to happen and to move the economy forward. So Sohaila, what do you think about the amount of executive orders that other presidents have passed and in regards to what Biden is doing now? Because we are in a position where we are in a global pandemic.
Either he was pen happy or they were really screwed up. What else to say, right? That's a lot of orders. Wow. I'd like to see what were those orders, and were they actually for something, for the good, or just because? I wonder. That's a lot of executive orders.
So they are a lot of executive orders, but if we look at history, we'll see that presidents tend to pass more executive orders when they're in a time period where they need things to act quickly. So World War I, World War II, the Great Depression, things along those nature. So now we're in a situation where we are in a global pandemic. So Wade, what do you think?
I think it's backwards. I think so. When those presidents signed those executive orders, like you said, there was a need to get something done to move forward. There was a need to conserve rubber, for example, for the war machine. There was a need to conserve aluminum and metal, things like that, sugar for food, for the troops. You know, you're fighting against, world domination against one of the evilest empires in history, the Nazis. In this example that I'm talking about, there's other things that went on, but in this example. So he wrote those orders to move forward, to get things done. In this case, Biden is writing orders to erase things and move backwards. It's semantics, whether that's forwards or backwards. If it were me, and it's not me, and everybody has their own way they would fix it. If it were me, I would have put different protections in place first and then removed the old orders instead of coming in and just wiping everything out and making a big show of it. And he does hold the record for the first week in presidency of the number of executive orders signed. So I think we're going backwards on this. If he had put the protections in place, like I said, first and then removed, I'd be totally for it.
So I'll ask you, so here's one that comes to mind, right? So one of his executive orders lifted the ban for transgendered people to serve in the military. Do you think that that was the correct executive order at that time?
No.
And why not?
So for me to explain this, I have to give you some preference. All right. So in the construction world, we work with OSHA all the time. And OSHA says that we have to have a separate locked restroom for women. All right. It has to be locked. Only they can use it. Only they can have the key for it. Doesn't matter if there's one woman on site or 50. So, and we run into this all the time in the field. So I'm going to say some controversial things here to make my point. So if Johnny comes in one day and decides that he wants to be Sally, do I give him the key to the restroom? Which law do I violate? Which right do I break? There's too many questions to be asked. Do I have personally any issues against transgender, gay, lesbian, LGBT, whatever, the whole gambit of the alphabet? No. I believe that you can be whatever you want to be. I have no issues with that. But I think there's too many logistical issues to just arbitrarily lift that. And I'll give you another example.
So actually, before you jump into that example, I do want to say that when we weren't, so the transgendered ban was put in place by Trump because the Obama administration had already allowed transgender people to serve in the military.
Right.
So everything was already in place. So there was no laws being broken. Like they already had the systems in place. And then Trump took over the Oval Office, and he went and he rescinded the things that Obama had already put in place and put that ban in place. So I think in this situation, since everything was already in place for transgendered military servicemen and women to be in the military, that I think it's a little bit different than looking at it like we see in construction, because they already had things in place. So
I agree with that. Because they didn't have the laws in place, but they didn't have the infrastructure. And that's where I was going with my second example.
Yeah.
So I have a buddy of mine who's on a submarine. One of the first submarines to have women on it. No issues with that. But the structure isn't there. So what they had to do is there's one set of bathrooms on the sub. There's one set of laundry. There's one set of showers. So they had to say, okay, these are your times now to use the restrooms. So if you had to go when it wasn't your time, you were shit out of luck. So the restrooms would be locked down for a certain amount of time for the one woman on there, so the whole ship couldn't use them. The washing machines had to be locked down for the one woman so that she could use them. And so did the showers in the bathrooms. So my point is there's not the infrastructure there, because when you're in the military, you go into a gang bathroom, for example, and take a shower. When I was in basic training at Fort Benning, there were 12 shower heads. There was nothing or anything else, okay? I personally don't have an issue with it. But you see a lot of stuff in those showers, and there's a lot of people that are uncomfortable. And there's a lot of people that are uncomfortable with transgender people. So I don't think that the structure is in place to protect them yet. So by arbitrarily opening that up, I think we've created more issues in the military. It took them 10 years to bring MCRD in San Diego online to accept the first female recruits, which happened just this week. And they started that process 10 years ago.
So I'm going to disagree with. So I'm going to go to Sohaila after I say this one thing. So I'm going to disagree with you. I think in terms of allowing people to serve or allowing people into spaces, there needs to be a first step. And I think something like this executive order is the first step. Because if we look at it, I'm going to go back to when schools were segregated, or back to when don't ask, don't tell. I think in order to start moving the world forward, in order for, going back to segregation, in order for kids to start going to school together, they had to put the law in place, and then they had to allow kids to go to school together. Whether they're Black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. But I think that the policy needed to be put in place, and then it needed to start walking forward with what was going on. Now, if we go back to don't ask, don't tell, I think once don't ask, don't tell was repealed, it was the first step. Again, there needs to be many, many steps. There were many steps in order to get everyone more comfortable with the idea that servicemen could be openly LGBTQ, but the policy needed to be put in place first, and then things built around it. And so going back to the ban being lifted on transgendered military people, I do believe that the policy needs to be put in place. And then after the policy is put in place, you start building around it. And I believe when Obama had the policy in place, they started building the infrastructure around it. Now, again, it takes time. It can take a long time, but the policy needs to be in place first. So I think having that policy, but then having Trump rescind that policy and put the ban in place caused a stop in the building of the infrastructure around it. But now Biden putting that policy back in place to allow service people to be transgendered if they are transgendered and to be openly transgender is a policy we need to start building the infrastructure around it. And then Sohaila, to you.
I say it's job security for people that need to make new bathrooms now. So you're going to have men, women, transgender now, right? What else is there going to be? Another one down the line?
Well, you know what?
Right?
So I have all friends with all gender bathrooms. I usually go into the all gender bathroom.
And I think you're right, Mel. But I think you're right outside of the military, not so much in the military. In the military is a much harder thing to change.
True.
Very
Very true.
bisexual.
And then Angel, what were you going to say? And I know that the military is a lot harder to change, but I still think it needs that push in order to change it. And then Angel, what were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say, how about if you're bisexual? You need to add another bathroom. There's like 4 types of people.
Right. When does it end? Or you just have single stalls. I mean, that's not going to help either. Yeah, it's a challenging question. I mean, yeah, I agree because the military, they don't accept things lightly. They don't, and they will force it as much as possible to go away. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I do agree. But now shifting gears to GameStop. Now, if you are a gamer, if you're someone who likes to trade in your games for new games and get pennies on the dollar for your old games, then you know all about GameStop. But if you're an older adult who probably doesn't play video games, you probably heard about GameStop for the first time this past couple of weeks because the stock for GameStop rose, and this is not a misprint. This stock rose over 1,700%.
Oh yeah,
1,700%.
Crazy. Wasn't it like $372 or something a share, or is it higher now?
It's probably higher now, but we'll get to Robinhood and other people trying to freeze the stock. Now, on top of this the stock rising, you would think that Wall Street would be celebrated because this is going to stop going up. But no, it's the exact opposite. Wall Street is currently crying because several hedge funds and several big investors were betting against GameStop, and they are now losing money while average Joe Schmoes are now gaining a lot of money. So, guys, what do you think about GameStop? And then, Sohaila, we will go.
I say, here's one for the little people. Yay! I say, finally, let's do it. Oh my God, that's what happens. That's the power of getting people together and finally doing something. We the little people right here. Yeah, they make so much money. It's crazy. It really is. But then you start getting into other investments, like the people who have invested in stocks and things like Amazon and stuff. Well, they're getting screwed too. But I mean, eventually, of course, it will even up. But it's the the good, bad, and the ugly, right? I think it's great, though. Oh my God, it's awesome. But I'm just wondering, why did Reddit stop? Who told them to stop?
And then, Wade, what do you think? And then we'll get to Reddit in a second.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I was so excited. It felt like Super Bowl Sunday, and I was hopping up and down. I was so excited. All right. Did you ever see that movie Trading Places? I was expecting David Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy to show up on Reddit and hand each other a $1 bill. Because that's what they really did. I mean, stocks, we all know stocks are volatile, and they played the short sale or the short stock or whatever it's called, where they bet against a stock, and they know that's high risk, and they lost in this case. So I think it's funny.
I think it's great. Yeah. What do you think?
So let me kind of dive in and talk about what happened with GameStop, because I know a lot of people know that the little man is winning, that the average Joe Smo is winning, and that is great. But let me dive in and kind of explain what happened. So basically, they were short selling. Now, short selling is something that you shouldn't do unless you are pretty much advanced in the stock market, or if you're on Wall Street. It's very high risk. And that's why I don't know why the hedge funds are complaining. I don't know why Wall Street is complaining, because it's high risk. You played a game and you lost. and they lost big. So essentially, with the short selling is you take this, go to a lender and you say, hey, I'm going to borrow this stock, right? I'm going to give it back to you, but I'm going to borrow this stock. And then you're going to sell it, right? But you believe that it's going to decline in price. And once it declines in price, you basically buy it back. And then you return it, but then you yourself make that nice little profit there because it declined in price. And all you did was borrow it. Now, the issue comes is if you sell it to a buyer, you have to buy it back. And if the price goes up, then you lose money. So you can play the stock market, have stocks go down and still win. But the thing is, you have to play it right. Now, Wall Street started short selling or betting against GameStop a couple months ago because they said, brick and mortar is not going to last. Everyone's buying their games online. But this community in Reddit, so it was called the Wall Street Bet Forum, they put their money, their worth, their everything, their power behind GameStop. And they said, we believe this is undervalued. And they started telling people to buy GameStop. So essentially they did market manipulation. Essentially it was market manipulation. And they got the stock for GameStop to rise to $300 and something. So what are your thoughts, guys? Angel, what do you think about that?
Well, basically, I don't play video games, but I think it's very interesting business because every time I go to a lot of homeowners' houses, everybody's playing video games. Everybody. So I know video games is a good a good source to make money, a good business. But my son, he was trying to explain me, and my son, he was, oh yeah, oh what? I said, what? He tried to explain me about the GameStop, but to be honest with you, I don't really understand anything what he said.
That's what he said. Yeah, it's kind of like Trump. How he didn't like what happened. That's another story. Anyways, yeah, I think it's great. Oh my goodness, I think it's great. And I don't think it's well, you could say it's market manipulation, but at the same time, hey, you're telling your friends that to go and do something, and they're saying, yeah, we're on board, we're going to do it because they're all game people. So I think it's great. I don't think it's really manipulation. I think it's just that's what the hedge funds do. Hello.
That's what the hedge funds do. And I love that comment, Sohaila, because that is exactly what hedge funds do. In a sense, they do their own market manipulation as well.
All the time.
Now, this is not just GameStop, but GameStop is making a name for itself. Everyone in America now knows who GameStop is because of these prices going up. But it's not just GameStop. It looks as though places like Reddit and all these places where they have these Wall Street bet forums are saying, if we could do it with GameStop, then we can probably do it with other companies. And there's companies like AMC, which is a movie theater company, who are now rising as well. So do you guys think that the power of Wall Street is now going to fall into the hands of the average Joe and the people on Reddit, or you guys think it's going to somehow go back to the hedge funds on Wall Street?
I think it will even up.
Go ahead, Sohaila. Go ahead, Sohaila.
I think it will. It's volatile, but I think it will even up. And I'm so glad that AMC is finally getting out there and doing things because we miss going to the movies. We miss our popcorn.
And I know everyone misses their popcorn, but go ahead, Wade.
I think it's great, and I hope they keep doing it.
Yes,
I really do, because, and it really comes down to the invention of these apps like Robinhood and things like that make it so incredibly easy. You don't have to have a broker or a stock guy. You don't have to call people. They don't have to run these things down like you see in the movies and TV and all that. They may still, I don't know. But it's really easy for me to load up an app on a phone and go buy or sell. So I think with this, that people are going to start looking at undervalued stocks or stocks that are just low that they want to jerk the price up and sell. I think it's going to happen more and more, that it's going to go out and somebody's going to say, okay, everybody, just like trading places, buy OJ. So, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, go buy some 31 flavors and KFC.
So now that we see that the market can be manipulated, not just by Wall Street, but by Joe Schmoes, by people every day on Reddit who are saying, we believe in the stock, let's raise the prices. We are now seeing, in a sense, that Wall Street is biting back. And we see that with companies like Robinhood. Now, during this time when Gamestop stock was on the rise, when it was hitting 1,700% increase in its stock, Robinhood said, we don't play that. And they put a freeze on people buying stock. Now, people were very angry about that. People who wanted to buy, people who wanted to sell, people who wanted to go into the stock market and join in on this major discovery that people were having could no longer be a part of it if they were buying stocks on places like Robinhood. So what do you guys think about Robinhood freezing the purchasing of stocks like GameStop? Do you guys think that it was correct? Do you guys think that they overstepped their boundary? And also, and before we even jump into that, I want to let everyone know that Robinhood is now being sued because people wanted to buy and they could not buy. So the people are speaking and they are not happy. But what do you guys think?
I personally am glad they're being sued because they had no right to do that. They're taking people's money. Isn't it a public entity? If you're taking people's money, it should be a public entity, right? I'm wondering. But
the same thing as Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. It's a private entity. Is it right what they did? No. Is it probably illegal what they did? I don't know. But what I can tell you is it's a private entity. I don't agree with it. I equate it to the same thing as banning people from being able to use their platforms.
Right.
They should not have shut it down.
Right.
That to me is a bigger manipulation than anything that was done by Reddit.
Now, here's something that I think is strange in terms of Robinhood. So after all of this GameStop fiasco, you would think that Robinhood would try and take a step out of the limelight, try and fix their public relation, and then push forward. But here's the thing. They're not doing that. They are continuing to forge ahead, and Robinhood is stating that they're going to go ahead with their IPO or their initial public offering in order to be a publicly traded company in the second quarter. Do you guys think that it's wise for Robinhood, with all the controversy that they're facing, to go ahead and now open themselves up to the market themselves?
Well,
Wade, what do you think? Go ahead, Sohaila.
I think they're going to take advantage of this for sure. Something's up their sleeve if they want to go public right now. I think they're going to be open to more scrutiny, though, and a little bit, probably not a little, a lot more legal actions.
And then Wade, what do you think?
I think if they're going public with an IPO, they need to change their name at the same time to the Sheriff of Nottingham, because they are no longer robbing from the rich and giving to the poor.
That's great. True.
I completely agree. And I really don't think this is the right time for them to continue ahead with their IPO, because they're facing major lawsuits from a good chunk of the people who use them for investing. So I don't think it is the right time for them to forge ahead.
Yeah.
Now,
and what are they going to gain when they go public? I don't understand, especially now.
Wade has it right. Like so IPO is just a way of raising money and selling your stocks to the people of the world. But if the people of the world do not believe in you, if they do not believe in your product, if they do not believe that the company is viable, they're not going to buy your IPO. So I'm very curious to see what happens when they do go public, if they go public, and I'm very curious to see what that number, what the market is going to value the company at.
Yeah, we're all going to be waiting for this. What's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah, I think being, private entities, you have the ability to do whatever you want to do. as long as it's within the bounds of the law. But I also think you should have a moral right at that size, moral obligation at that size to do what's right, not just for you, but for everybody.
I completely agree.
Mhm.
Now, shifting gears outside of Wall Street, let's move outside of Wall Street and let's move to one of the biggest companies in the world and one of the
Wait,
most powerful men.
Before you move ahead, have you guys ever been to Wall Street, by the way? Well, I know you have, Mel, because you live there. But have you actually walked down Wall Street? It was so disappointing. It's
So-
like an alley. It's like, are you kidding me?
I walked on Wall Street.
Yeah, I thought it was this big ass street, you know, with big buildings. No, it's a freaking alley.
Well, it's
in
just
there.
a place where money. It's just a place where money is made. So I've been on Wall Street. I've been in several of the buildings in Wall Street. I've seen a lot of the Wall Street guys do their things in person. I've seen the Wall Street guys do their things after hours as well. So I spent plenty of time with people of Wall Street. So it may look disappointing, but let me tell you, it is a crazy place where there are
Once you
almost
get in
no-
there, yeah. Right.
Once you're there.
Yeah.
So guys, so shifting gears away from Wall Street, let's talk about one of the most powerful companies in the world and one of the most powerful men in the world who is now stepping down. And that is Jeff Bezos. So Jeff Bezos is stepping down. He is stepping down as his role as CEO of Amazon. Now he created this company. He has led this company for a very long time, but he is now in a position where he will be stepping down from his CEO position. So what are your thoughts on Jeff Bezos stepping down? He's not stepping away from the company, but he is stepping down.
I think it's great. He's earned it. You know, I mean, he's built one of the largest companies in the world, not only just in shipping and materials, but he's got one of the third or fourth largest data center set up and everything else. I think he's earned it. Go retire to that island. Have a good time.
But is that what he's actually going to do, I wonder? Or is somebody stepping in saying, hey, I want more? I wonder. Yeah.
So
Or let's be a fly on the wall when they have meetings.
So like I said, Jeff Bezos is stepping down from his role as CEO, but he is not stepping away, nor is he leaving the company. He will still remain the biggest shareholder. But not only will Jeff Bezos remain the biggest shareholder, he is now going to become the executive chair of the Amazon board. So he will still have a say in what goes on in Amazon. So while he will not be the captain steering Amazon on a day-to-day basis, he still has majority of shares. So he still has the biggest vote, and he will be basically controlling the board. So he is not going anywhere. He's just stepping down. And I think he's stepping down so he can, one, have more power, have less accountability, but also focus his eyesight on something else in his empire that he is building. And then what do you think, Sohaila?
Well, yeah, like Wade said, good for him. Yeah, I think it's great. But I guess he's going to do more with that money that he has. So, yeah, there's no stopping him. I think he's going to open something else or branch out to something else within the Amazon realm then.
There's nothing that says you can't run that executive board meeting from a beach somewhere with a drink in his hand. I'm just saying.
In his own private island, yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So do you guys think that he's going to focus his attention somewhere else?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you guys think that he's going to focus his attention on somewhere else, maybe some other business or something else that he has up his sleeves?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, that's the first when you told me this just a bit ago, it's like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, it must be like Wade said. It's like his new wife or girlfriend or whatever is probably saying, "I need a drink over there. Let's go."
Mhm. I mean, it's obvious that there's a lot of rumors about Amazon. There's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of facts. And anything that big, there's always going to be happy people, unhappy people, things like that. But one thing we do know is he knows how to create a business and how to build it and how to run it. I mean, I'm wondering if he's looking for a side project right now. If he's retiring, I mean, come on, Jeff. So,
Yeah, come over here, help us out.
come on, Jeff.
In fact, his ex-wife is actually giving pretty much all her money away to nonprofits. So I was actually telling Angel, we gotta figure out how to get in front of her for his nonprofit. I mean, she's literally just giving it away to all these amazing nonprofits. That's cool. I really like that.
You make more in a minute than you give away.
Exactly. And they're just in their bank alone. It's like the interest. It's like I can't get rid of it.
Now, as Jeff Bezos is stepping away from day-to-day operations and stepping into that executive chair position, Andy Jassy will be stepping up and taking over as CEO sometime during the summer, so sometime during the third quarter. But there are some speculation stating that while Jeff Bezos may be stepping away from day-to-day operations of Amazon, he may be focusing his attention on Blue Origin. Now, Blue Origin is the aerospace manufacturing company that he founded, that Jeff Bezos founded, I think back in 2000. So somewhere around 2000. And it's basically another one of these space companies. So do you guys think that that's a possibility that he could be pulling his attention away from Amazon and putting his attention towards the stars?
Absolutely. Right now, the only competitor is Elon Musk. He is the only one.
Right.
So if I had the money and the resources that Jeff Bezos had, I would definitely be doing it too. Because then even if we both were the only two doing it, we're still the only two doing it.
Exactly. And then Sohaila, what do you think?
Well, he has the money for it, so he could do whatever he wants. But everybody seems to want to go to space all of a sudden.
Have you seen the news lately? No one wants to be here.
It seems as though space will now be the playground of the billionaire. So as people build their companies, as they become billionaires, multi-billionaires, it looks as though the next thing people are doing, the next step that people are taking is looking towards the stars. And we see that with Elon Musk and we see that with Jeff Bezos. Now, again, we're just speculating whether he's going to focus his attention away from Amazon and focus on Blue Origin. But it does seem like the natural progression of things is that once billionaires build their companies that are here on the ground, their next thing is to take it to space, because space is a place that is not necessarily crowded. And if there's only two big companies, Blue Origin and SpaceX with Elon Musk, it looks like space could be a place for billionaires to, one, make more money, but two, it's one of the most exclusive places that someone could go or put their money or have their flag on. So it does look like an ego boost if you can get yourself to space and claim space for yourself.
Absolutely. Let me put it this way. If I had the resources and could do it, I would put a space station up in space. We're talking some Dr. Evil shit. I want a big old space station, right? And here's why. Because if I have it in place, no one else is going to waste the money to build it. But governments would pay me a buttload of money to send their people there and through it. Because not only do you have a dedicated place to send people to do science, you have a dedicated place to launch further and to build from there. So, I mean, it makes sense.
I think it does. It does make sense.
We need to get some more GameStop. We gotta get some more stocks.
So buy enough GameStop stocks, become a billionaire, and then look at space.
Exactly.
That's our game plan.
That's it. That's the game plan. Let's do it.
I mean, you don't have to worry about people knocking on your door on Saturday morning trying to sell you cookies. But I do want to know how Amazon 1 hour delivery is going to work in the space station.
They'll have a distribution center on the moon.
Right. They're just shooting rockets to the ground.
So guys, So now, as we take a step away from space and a step away from one of the most powerful companies in the world, let's go to one of the most powerful governments in the world, and that is the U.S. government. Now, Trump's impeachment trial is coming up, and I know we always talk about Trump's impeachment trial since we've heard that it was going to happen. But I do want to talk about something very, very specific, which was really odd to me. So I'm going to play this clip really quickly for you guys by a congressperson named Lindsey Graham.
Oh,
You all know how I feel about Lindsey. So let's take a listen.
Open up that can of worms. We'll want the FBI to come in and tell us about how people actually pre-planned these attacks and what happened with the security footprint at the Capitol. You open up Pandora's box if you call one witness. I hope we don't call in, we vote and get this.
So essentially, Lindsey Graham went on Fox last night and said, listen, guys, for this impeachment trial, the Democrats should not call any witnesses. And if they call the witnesses, if they call any witnesses for this impeachment trial, we will bring the FBI in. We will bring the FBI in to testify. And I don't understand how that's a threat. Like, that all sounds good to me. Like, I want to hear from witnesses. I want this to be a fair trial. I don't want this to be like a witch picket fort type of thing. I want it to be a fair trial. Whether you think Trump is innocent or whether you think Trump is guilty, I think we all agree that it should be a fair trial. And I don't see how bringing in the FBI or having any kinds of witnesses coming in makes it an unfair trial. So what do you guys think? First off, what do you think about Lindsey Graham's threats to the Democrats? That if the Democrats bring any witnesses in, he's going to bring the FBI in.
Can we go back to space?
So this is the first I've heard about this, is the clip you played. And I don't understand what the point would be. Do you know what the point would be?
No, I don't. So Lindsey Graham just doesn't want any witnesses testifying at the impeachment trial. He just wants to come and vote and then go on upon our day. I don't think that's a fair trial. So basically what Lindsey Graham is stating is, if there's any witnesses, we're going to call the FBI to come in and testify.
Okay, so the FBI is on our side too, because they pretty much got fired from Trump anyway. So what's the difference?
Like, I feel if the FBI was going to come in, they're going to come in with facts and evidence, and whatever facts or evidence they bring is going to be important evidence for the case. Again, at the end of the day, we all want a fair trial.
Sure.
I think the FBI is going to bring a fair trial. I believe that there's witnesses and they come in and speak, that's going to bring a fair trial. So, number one, what do you think? Let's actually break this down to the simplest, because I don't get it. I don't understand why there's an issue.
Yeah, is he going to bring them in to, interrogate people? I mean, they're going to say,
like, so let's start with the first part that Lindsey Graham was saying, right? So Lindsey Graham says that Democrats should not have any witnesses for the impeachment trial. Do you guys believe, what do you guys think about that? Do you think there should be witnesses? Do you think there shouldn't be witnesses? What are your thoughts on witnesses? Let's start
First
there.
of all, I think I believe he's Looney Tunes. He needs to be just gone. He's just history. Oh my God, he has to be history. I tell you, it's getting ridiculous what these Republicans are doing. Really ridiculous.
I think bringing in witnesses is great, and it's not, has nothing to do with the parties. It has nothing to do with Trump or anything else. It's just the way we do law. Bring in the witnesses. And one of our laws, which I really like this idea, if we catch you lying under oath, you go to jail too.
Yes,
Exactly. At the same time.
Exactly. It could all be together.
I don't see the downfall in this. It'd be like a murder trial saying, don't bring any witnesses in. It doesn't make sense. We're a nation of laws, and this is what makes that. And granted, I don't know enough about how this process works to speak intelligently on it, but what I can say is that I would hope that the people in the Senate who vote on the impeachment are just like a group of individuals at a regular trial, a group, your peers. that do the voting to determine if you're guilty or not. So I would hope that it would go the same way.
And essentially that's what's going to happen. Starting the week of February 9th, people are going to bring forth evidence. Trump is going to be there with his defense team. And Trump's main defense, so what's leaking out from his aide is that Trump's main defense is going to be that it's unconstitutional. So essentially that's where we're going to really look and what the bulk of it's going to be. So if Trump is saying that it's unconstitutional, there's witnesses saying that it is constitutional, that's one way that a witness could be helpful. If there's a witness saying that groups started saying that they were going to storm the Capitol because of what Trump says, then that's a witness that we need to hear. If there are groups saying that they were going to storm the Capitol prior to Trump's speech, I think those are witnesses that we need to hear. I don't see how witnesses are a bad thing. I think witnesses bring in the information that we need to hear in order to make a sound judgment. So I'm all for witnesses. And if the Democrats bring in witnesses and then Lindsey brings in the FBI behind them, that's even better. I can't think of a better witness than the FBI. Now, before I get you more information from you guys, let me go to the comments really quickly. So Joanna says, it makes no sense what Lindsey Graham said. Yes, bring in the FBI. Let's open up Pandora's box, because that's what he said. If there's witnesses, we'll open up Pandora's box and bring the FBI. So,
you know what that sounds like? That sounds like a comment like, if I go down, y'all are going down. That's what that sounds like.
I know, right? It's like FBI, okay, and they're supposed to be on your side? How are you seeing that?
Well, let's be honest. The FBI has not always been the most upstanding government entity. They've done a lot of shady stuff in the background, a lot, and what we know about is probably only that much compared to what they've actually done. So
I feel a lot safer with the FBI when there's no what's his name, Hoover, J. Edgar Hoover.
So, but yeah, I mean, I don't see. But I do have I guess it's a procedural question. Does Trump have to be there, or can his legal team just be there?
Yeah,
I
his legal
believe
team
Trump has to be there.
Absolutely.
I believe he does. I believe he does in case they need to call upon him to testify or whatnot. But I do believe that he needs to essentially stand trial, he needs to be there to stand trial. It's interesting.
One of his attorneys resigned because he wouldn't go through what he was supposed to do. I guess Trump ordered him to say something. He says, no, I'm not going to do that.
So a good bulk of his legal team resigned. I was going to talk about that tonight, but I was trying to keep it as Trump free as I could, because I feel like the past, several months, weeks, years, we've been talking a lot about Trump. And I just wanted to have there's other things going on in the world. So I wanted to touch on those and kind of keep it a little Trump free, but I knew we had to get this in at the very end.
It'll be perfect time to talk about it next week, because it's going to be happening.
So we're definitely going to talk about it next week. Joanna says, these public servants are serving themselves, not American people. You would think both Democrats and Republicans' priority at this point would be accountability for what happened on January 6th.
Yeah, I'm glad that she brought that up, because it's true. You now talk, you hear these Republicans, and it's like it never even happened. It's like they're back to their old ways again. It's like, are you kidding me? You were really afraid for your life on January 6th. Now you're not? It just doesn't make sense. They're not for us, for the people. They aren't. They're for their selfish righteousness, and that's all that matters for them. They don't care about the people. They should be gone.
If you think the government is for the people, I got some land in Arizona that's beachfront I can sell you. Right? The government is there for themselves. The scariest thing in the world when the government comes up, I'm here to help you. No, they ain't. So, but I do have some questions now. And it's interesting because I'm not in this political world all the time. It's interesting because if Trump has to be there for this trial, if he's going to be there to stand trial, what's going to stop him if he has this power of having the Capitol raided again, having all these people show up and kick down the gates? What would stop him from doing that?
Right.
What would stop him from creating all sorts of hell and chaos? And it just raises so many questions at this point that if they're that scared of him and what he can do and they're trying to end this, will the trial even be focused on only January 6th? Or they'll be like in an argument with your wife or boyfriend or girlfriend. Yeah, well, 2 years ago you did this. I mean, are we going to focus on that one event? Or is the sins of the past going to be dredged up? Because let's face it, we're focusing on the outside on the January 6th event.
Well, I hope
So
they bring the past, because I mean this is his second impeachment, and so the January 6th was the cherry on the icing, right on the top.
But
And
if January 6th would have happened, would he be being impeached again?
No.
I don't believe so.
So that's my question. Will the trial only focus on what happened January 6th?
So I'm gonna say this. There's gonna be things in Trump's past that are gonna be brought up, but they're gonna try and make it relevant to January 6th to show a pattern. And as long as it can stay within that pattern of this is when it started, although these words didn't cause what happened on January 6th, the progression of this rhetoric is what caused what happened on January 6th. If it can stay like that, if that's the conversation that Congress can have, if that's the line of questioning that Congress can have during this whole proceeding, then I think it is okay to bring up things from the past. If it's clearly showing that because of these things in the past, it led to January 6th. Now, will that happen? I don't know. Don't know how much faith I am putting in Congress right now. I do see this being, and excuse my French, a shit show with the way that it's going already. I can see this being a complete and utter shit show, a circus, the rest of the world laughing at us again. So hopefully they can stay on track. They can talk about the rhetoric and how the rhetoric caused this and not go into what happened on March 13th at 9:30 p.m. with one tweet. Like I hope it's nothing like that. I hope they can stay on task. And if they do bring things up, that it is things that are relevant to the case.
I just hope they use some regular off-the-shelf pins this time. I'm tired of paying for gold-plated pins.
I definitely agree with that. So, guys, we are coming towards the end of the show. Is there any other topics that you guys would like to touch on last minute?
No, next week we need to talk about Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. So next week we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, the impeachment,
and the silver going sky high today. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
So next week, Bitcoin. And if there's anything that you guys want to hear, go ahead and drop it in the comment section as well. We are open to talking about anything. Joanna gives that thumbs up. So we are open to talking about anything that you guys would like us to talk about. We may not agree on everything. There's lots of things that we completely and utterly disagree on. There's some things that we completely agree on, like GameStop. So, guys, let us know what you
about us. We can actually disagree and continue on. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And I'm hoping this broadcast will show people that you can have the conversations. We don't always have to agree, and we can all come from different political ideologies, come together and have these important conversations, because we need to have these important conversations to, number one, bring the country together. Number two, just work together in a peaceful way. We don't always have to agree. I think that's something that is very, very important. So, guys, we are now tuning out. My name is Mel. I am a TV host, confidence coach, and international best-selling author. You can watch me on TV, on Apple TV, Roku TV, or you can catch me right here on the internet, on Spotify, on Twitter, on Periscope, on Twitch, on Facebook, on YouTube. Any place that broadcasts, I'm probably there. You can definitely catch me on which direction? Smoking Bacon, which is Wade's show. So I'll go ahead and throw it to Wade to tell us a little bit about what he's doing.
So we're continuing to stir the pot this week because we enjoy doing that. We sold out of our latest offensive coffee mug twice now and just reloaded today. And it's really offensive, so I won't even post it in case thrown in jail. So, but we're having a good time. And, you know, we will always fight for the underdog. We will always fight for the rebel. So all those underdogs and rebels, if you feel, you know, being thumbed down, things like that, come on over. We got you.
Awesome. And where are you going to be on this this Thursday, Wade?
I'm going to be on your Coffee with the Queens.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So I'm Sohaila, guys. I am your belly dance entrepreneur expert. I help women stop feeling invisible and start becoming invincible. And I have collaborated with these three amazing women, and we call ourselves Coffee with the Queens. And we have a show on Thursday mornings at 9:30 PST. And it's going to be awesome because we have Wade as our amazing guest this Thursday. And he's going to be talking about social media. You don't like it? Start your own.
That's right.
That's exactly what he did. It's going to be amazing. So please join us. And then I have my belly dance classes on Wednesday nights via Zoom, or I have a membership hub. And yeah, that's it. So always fun to be here.
Perfect. So guys, tune in every single Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. You'll see me, you'll see Sohaila, you'll see Wade, you'll see Angel, you'll see Stephanie, and sometimes we have guests as well. So you will see us. We talk about current events, and we want to hear your opinion about them as well. And let us know what you guys want to hear about, whether it's in the comment section below, whether you're watching live, or maybe you're catching this later. Let us know what you guys think. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next Tuesday evening at 6:30 p.m. That's 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And over there on the East Coast, that is 9:30 p.m. So we come, we talk, we're on late, you know, a little bit of late night TV. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And this has been the Power Hour panel.